And you hear on the news all the time where, and I stopped listening to a lot of that because anchors will say that we could lose X number of people and we could do this, yeah, the world could stop tomorrow and the sky could turn purple and, and things could happen and we can speculate all day long, but that's not truly news reporting. That's fear mongering. And so choose what you engage to look at and to be a part of with discernment so that you don't engage in something that is scary. So that you now start looking for the scary things to come to pass. Because the energy that we create, the greatest gift I think that we can give right now is having that energy of stability, of being anchored, and of putting love back out into a community where there's a lot more fear. Did that answer your question?
A little.
Maybe ask it another way, and then
No, I mean everything you said makes perfect sense, and I do agree. It's all individually what we take from it, how we choose to see it, how we relate it. Because you have a lot of people who are fearful, and a lot of people who it really doesn't matter, and then some of us who are following the rules and stuff. I think what I was asking is, how do we get to this point? If we say we create our reality, our thoughts bring about what we live. I'm trying to understand, how are we here now at this pandemic, and wondering if there was some sort of a collective consciousness that brought us to this point. That was the question I was asking. I don't know if it makes sense.
So you're asking if collectively those who are living now have somehow created this?
Yes.
And you're asking if there's a bigger picture involved in that occurrence.
How do you distinguish that occurred, which is occurring to me, from some other experience that I had, which you would say was brought about by my thoughts?
Yeah, I can ask and see what we...
Yes, that would be great.
In this global way, there are many things that are unfolding. Life, you see, will not return to the way it was previously. Or how can it when so many lives will have seen a change that cannot move back in time to where the life was before? And so know that as you move forward and you look to elicit what this life will hold, the key in moving forward is to do so in wonderment and with love as your energetic key. And this may sound strange, for many postulate in more of a fear as opposed to the reality of what is, although there is the component of something more being underfoot. But we would say to move through this space, because when it is global as such, it is collective. It cannot be any other way, for there is a collective understanding of all that it has sought to shift. And so we will say that when the process has shifted, as it will, then to see where others reside. For it will be in that determination that will allow the earth to continue in its progression. For this is seen as a slight pause, and it will be the determinant of how humanity uses this time to strengthen and fortify nothing other than themselves, nothing other than what they have complete control over, which is themselves. They then can look forward to what they emerge from almost as a cocoon and the butterfly. For they are in a degree of a cocooning process for being sheltered in their homes, being sheltered and to stay apart from others, so that when they do emerge back into the flow of life, that they do so differently than before. They do so from a posture that they will establish in this time, where you are looking at a number of days, a month, perhaps more, perhaps less, of a time when there is that allowing of inner reflection, where nothing is required on the many who do not go to work, who do not engage in the day-to-day monotony of life. And we say monotony of life because often it is not engaged with the loving expanse that the soul might enlist, but more of duty to get this or that paycheck and to move from this or that space, as opposed to throwing that all out the window, so to speak, and engaging with something of purpose, of measure, of value, of true value, not of the value that is placed upon you by the media, by society, by what you believe life should be. So when one does move within and truly anchor that which is of value, and then step forward, and then move to regain and enlist life in the way that was perhaps postured from before, then there is purpose to this time. For if all this is about is complaining and wishing it were not so when this is what is, then there is of no real value to the enterprise. But if humanity will look upon it as an opportunity to go within before moving outside, then this has an intrinsic value unlike any other. And when you can see it that way, when you can recognize that it isn't a drudgery to be confined to your homes, it is not as if you were confined to a prison or limited. You have the outdoors, you have space, you have the location which you have created as your home. And so recognize that each is a gift. For to see it any other way is losing the message, losing the opportunity, losing the value of all that is. You see?